Welcome everyone to our Massachusetts Farm to School webinar today, which is Growing Environmental Stewards, Launching School-Wide Composting. And I'm so excited to be here. Oh, I should introduce myself first. My name is Dinah Mack, and I'm the Education Program Manager with Mass Farm to School. And I'm here to introduce Elizabeth Kaplan, an extraordinary educator, and I'm super excited for today's session. Elizabeth is the K-8 Math and Science Coordinator and the Farm to School Coordinator with Watertown Public Schools. So I'm going to give Elizabeth the floor, and the chat is open. If you have any questions during this, please throw them in the chat and Elizabeth will answer them. And we will also be sending out a recording and the slide deck after. You probably in a few days you'll get that. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Great.
And I'm going to put my email also in the chat if anyone wants to reach out about any farm to school support or programming that they're excited to have offered. We're currently about to plan our 2025-2026 professional learning. So if there's anything that you really want to learn about, please email me. And if there's something you want to offer to lead, we're always looking for that. And I have a Google form that I will leave in the chat for that as well. All right.
Thank you so
Elizabeth,
much.
take it away.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Sina said, I'm Elizabeth Kaplan, K-8 Math and Science Coordinator, and also in charge of our Farm to School programming here in Watertown. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are in Watertown, but we're really going to talk about school-wide composting today from the lens of a school-based lens. So we're going to talk about lessons that are aligned to standards and how to get school-wide composting going in your school or in your district. I will say I have done a version of this presentation before a couple years ago at the Farm to School at a conference, and I have updates since then because I have encountered new challenges. So you'll hear about my ups and downs of launching school-wide composting today. We also will have some interactive components. It can be hard with a webinar format, but I do have a Mentimeter so we can kind of see where people are at and have some participation. As we were just saying, feel free to put questions in the chat. I'm excited to be here today. So this is who we are in Watertown. We are a farm to school team. This is a picture of us from our first time at the Institute in 2019. We are made up of a district garden coordinator, garden teacher leaders, K-12. We have a summer student intern program. We have a great crew of parent volunteers. We also partner, I'm going to talk about this more, partner with the recycling and sustainability coordinator in our DPW. And our farm to school program really is made up of our school gardens, which are in our K-8 schools. Our high school is currently being built. It's going to be the first platinum LEED certified school building in Massachusetts, maybe in New England. So we have a very green high school being built right now. It includes curriculum connections to all of our school gardens. We are implementing a freight farm at the high school. So we'll be growing 200 pounds of hydroponic lettuce a month. That freight farm is coming next month. So we've been spending a couple years planning for that. But what I'm here to talk about that's a part of our farm to school program today is our composting program. So we've done a lot. We've been working at this for years. We started as just some school gardens, then we kind of formalized our farm to school program in 2019, and we're always trying to grow our programming. I can't say enough about the Farm to School Institute, the Farm to School PD, and if you have something to share, I've taught and I'm teaching here today, and I find it such a rewarding experience. So that is who we are. If you have questions along the way, pop them in the chat. I'm just going to say that again. So this is who we are. Just some pictures from our gardens over the years. So our agenda for today is, I'm going to try to find out who is in the room today, where I'm going to get some feedback about where you are in your own composting journey, whether, your home composting, your district, and then we're going to talk about how to implement school-wide composting. And if you aren't ready for that, ways to start really small. And, our goals are to really understand how to do this and talk and plan with colleagues. You might not be sitting with colleagues in the room, but I do have an organizer, a paper organizer that you can use via Google Docs. or print it to help you do some planning that you can then share with your colleagues. So I'm hoping you can leave today with something tangible to go get this started or enhance what you're doing in your district. So who's in the room? I think we asked people to put who they're in the room, but I'm not seeing it in the chat. If you could let me know who you are and your role in your district, where you're from, that would be great. And then we could all see it. So we're going to use the chat for this. So your name and your role in your district or organization. I have great wait time. I was a teacher.
Thank you, and thanks to all
Great.
participating. All right, here they come.
Here they come. Oh, Christina, I'm a product of Beverly Public Schools. Oh, we have a waste reduction coordinator, Amanda. That's great. I'm glad you're here.
All right, Natalia
Burlington, cool.
Milton, Public Food Service Director,
Yeah.
Ray Beverly Public School, Wellesley.
A waste reduction coordinator. That's interesting. I'm interested in that. That's great.
Awesome. Rhonda, welcome from South Burlington, Vermont.
Oh, Salem has a waste reduction.
Natick, Wellesley, Brookline.
Cool. All right. Thank you, everybody. Nice variety and geographic variety as well. This is an old picture that I love. These students are now in college, but I just every picture is taken from our schools over the years, and I love this picture because they're grown now, and it's just great to see. Oh, Iowa. Wow, welcome everybody. This is great. So I don't know if you've used Mentimeter before. I am hoping that I can get some formative data from you all by using Mentimeter. So you can access, I'm going to put the link, or maybe I can have Dinah put the link in the chat. You can click on the link here, or you can just go to menti.com and enter the code, or you can scan the QR code. So you have a few different ways to access this, and we have a few questions on the Mentimeter. So you can click on Menti and enter the code, or click on this link. I'm going to actually put the link in. I can put the
Can
link
you
in
get the
chat.
link? Or do you want? Let's see.
I've got it.
All right.
Here we go. I think I have to start the presentation. I'm great with technology till I'm on a recorded webinar in front of a large group of people. This is always
There it is.
goes.
It's
There
all
it
good.
is. But now I believe I have to start it. Let's see. Wait. I have to go into my account. There we are. So here we go. Open it up. Oh, I do have some results. People are using it. Perfect. So what type of composting? So we have a variety. Some people use a backyard composter, commercial composting. I know some towns have it for free. I have to pay for Black Earth commercial composting where I live. Can people do the next slide or do I have to open it?
I see it now.
You do? Okay, now let's try this next one.
Yeah.
What kind of composting is implemented at your school or district? So we do have somebody here who's doing whole school district composting. Maybe you can teach me something.
Is there anyone here who is not composting? All right, I see two for whole.
Mhm.
Is there anyone here who is not composting at all in their district or school?
So in Watertown, we have a few different ways that we compost. We used to have earth machines in our gardens. We had a bit of a rodent issue there. We do Ask This Old House, if anybody's seen that show, came and filmed an episode a couple of years ago in Watertown and built us just a yard clipping composter for our students. It's season 22, episode 1, if you're really interested. And it's a little embarrassing because I forgot my shoes that day and was wearing flip-flops on national television. So we do yard clippings at our school, and then we do a whole school district composting using Black Earth. So that's kind of what we do. All right, one more. Let's go here.
And Elizabeth, I don't know if you see in the chat, Ron
Yes.
said it's Vermont law, and then you have one person said Milton is not
Okay.
composting yet.
It is. I did know it was Vermont law. And what do you hope to learn today, if anything, or take away from today? So I can hopefully try to address that. It should be law. But again, my wait time is quite long. Oh, interesting. Front of house composting. That's what we're going to talk about today. So that's great. So I've been asked how to deal with rodents. The school I worked with said they couldn't compost due to rodents. That comes up, and I can speak to that too because it came up with us as well. It also came up when I did a session at the Farm to Sea and School conference as well. People brought up rodents. Another minute.
You can also put it in the chat as
Okay.
well.
Additions to lessons I currently use. We will talk about lessons. Oh, more support for district-wide composting, how to pay for it during a tight budget cycle. We are entering into a tight budget cycle. And I can talk about that a little. We have done a couple things this year. I hope I remember to say it, to actually cut down on the costs that we're spending on the bags that we line our compost bins with. We've gotten to that level. Reducing contamination, improving education, and cafeteria side composting. Getting cafeteria side started in more schools and getting admin behind. We are going to talk about all those things today. So these are questions that I feel I can answer. So we'll get back to the slides. Okay. So planning throughout the session, if you choose to use this, it's a very basic planning template, but when we are in person, people have found it helpful. You can make a copy of it and work on it while you're there, or type on it, or print it out. I'm a paper person. So it kind of is aligned with, this may not apply to you if you're already far along in your journey, but I just wanted to provide you with a template as we work today. So the first piece is, who are the people you need? So we're going to talk about the keys to implementation, the people that you need to have alongside you, get on board, and then the how-to piece. So these people are in no order of importance. District and city leadership is obviously important, particularly if you are in a city where you are trying to get composting going as for the whole city, or it doesn't exist there. Principals and admin team for each schools are really important. I have really supportive administrators here in the elementary schools. I'm being honest, getting it going at the middle school was challenging. I'm going to speak about middle school challenges. They were very unique. Food services, director of nutrition, lunch aides, kitchen staff. Then you have your custodial team. The custodial team, you also have to really forge relationships with the superintendent and the managers, or whoever, head of public works, or whoever is in charge of the custodial team, and your relationship with the commercial composters. So again, we use Black Earth for that, and our relationship with Black Earth is quite strong. if you've ever talked to the founders of Black Earth, if you haven't talked to them, I encourage you to. They come and sit on a panel on climate change for our fifth graders every year that I'm going to talk about later. They're wonderful. These are everybody needs to be involved. If one of these groups of people or people are not on board, things can fall apart or you can be kind of stalled. Our director of nutrition is on our farm to school team, so that was helpful, but some kitchen managers were challenging as well. We had custodial teams who were really on board and one that wasn't. I can say now pretty much everyone is on board with some tweaking. And I think when we ran into troubles listening to these people, one of our custodians who was really not into doing this, and we started and was kind of like, it's going to fail, actually provided us with the best feedback and helped us revise our systems. So I had to say, you were right. You were right about middle schoolers and composting. So what should we do? And he came up with great ideas. So these are your key people that need to be with you on this journey. The most important stakeholders, key partners, and advocates, however, are the students. I found that, and this sounds kind of hokey, but it's true. Our students were enthusiastic, but they were also incredibly helpful. And then as they got older, they helped drive us composting at the upper levels at the middle school. So I don't think we would be composting at the middle school today. And we just started, this winter, if it wasn't for our students being advocates, because they had been composting at the elementary and really felt like, why aren't we doing this at the middle school? So they've really helped push things along for us as well. And they're the most important. So if you want to take a moment, I'm just going to have you do a short think to yourself, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but to think about it could be specific names. Who are your key stakeholders? Who's maybe somebody that you haven't connected with that you need to in this, or maybe you're new and you're going to write a list of everybody you can think of based on, the list that I just kind of gave you. So we'll take just a few seconds to jot that down, because you can leave here today and try to start making those connections. Okay. So hopefully you have some folks identified. Click. Okay, so we've identified our people, and now I'm going to kind of go through how we did it at each school before we talk about like lessons and things like that, and then dig into kind of some more resources. So fall 2022 is when we began this process. And what was interesting is our school buildings were kind of in transition. We built new elementary schools and some people were in swing spaces. So we decided to start with fifth grade at our largest school. So first school, we began with fifth grade only. After a successful grade 5 lunches, we used cross-age school buddies, which I'll talk about later, to teach our younger students. And then the Hosmer School was composting K to 5. This was really important to start with grade 5, to start somewhat small at this school for the first time, because we were able to have multiple debriefing meetings with the assistant principal, with the custodians. Again, we really involved everybody in the debriefing and the tweaking, which I think is really important because it helped with the buy-in. And in the end, the custodians were so important that if we didn't carve out the time to have them at our debriefing meetings about composting, I think it would have failed. From there, we have 3 elementary schools in Watertown, 3 very different sizes. From there, we went to a second elementary school, the Lowell School, and did only grades 3 through 5. The school is in a swing space, and we used that little school, grades 3 through 5, to do a mini rollout. Then from there, we went to the Cuniff School and used 5th graders to begin composting in a slightly different way than the Hosmer. The Cuniff 5th graders went and taught all K to 4 classes. how to compost. So there's, in addition to the actual doing it in the caf, there's a lead up with lesson teaching components that our fifth graders helped us with, which I will talk about in more detail. And then the Lowell School was in a new school building, and we used the same model that we started with at the Hosmer School. And we had our fifth graders start first. Our fifth graders helped teach third and fourth graders how to do this. And then 3 through 5 did buddy lessons with their pals in K-2 and got it going. We are currently, I will say currently composting at our middle school, and I keep mentioning this, and this presentation I've done before has been overly positive. The middle school's been a challenge for a number of reasons, and I will share that with you. We're currently tweaking our middle school. So I'm just going to show you. I'm going to skip back, but hang on. Oh, did I delete it? Well, I deleted it. I had a picture of a letter that was written last winter from a sixth grader that was beautifully written and put in the mail to the middle school principal that listed all the reasons why they should compost and advocated for composting at the middle school. And that really was the impetus after I had encountered some backlash and stonewalling with getting compost going to middle school. The student letter really got it going because we had been growing environmental stewards at the elementary, and they had been composting. They get to the middle school and they said, why aren't we doing it here? So student advocacy got us where we are with our middle school composting. All right, so first steps. And this is where it kind of all comes together, the timeline, who we worked with. In fall of 2022, we began with the food service director and the custodians, and we started back of house composting. I will say I didn't do a lot with that. I'm a curriculum coordinator. And so that really stemmed from the sustainability coordinator at the DPW, who had been a teacher and who had worked for Black Earth. So she really worked with the food service director and the custodians, trained food service staff to talk about the new program and expectations for all schools. So again, that's still back of house. And then we started creating signage and classroom curriculum, which I will give you kind of our curriculum and our signage links so you can reuse those if you like. And our farm to school team began teaching fifth graders. So myself and our garden coordinator started teaching our fifth graders composting lessons. Now, I will show you this later, but if you are on the curriculum side, you know that in Massachusetts, composting is a standard for fifth graders. So a way to justify doing this alone with the teachers or with your principal is that this is a state standard. Students need to know about composting. So it's some classrooms have their fifth grade composting lesson is they stick some bread in they watch bread break down, or they watch food break down in a plastic baggie in the window. We are actually committed to making sure that they really tie it into the standard. So we would teach the fifth graders a lesson. The teachers love it because I come in to teach with members of my farm to school team. And then from there, we identified fifth grade leaders. So we said, do we have leaders in the fifth grade who are really passionate about this? And we had another mini lesson in the cafeteria with the students in the lunch aids. We spent at least a full week and additional time with the fifth grade in the lunchroom modeling good sorting behavior. It helped the staff, the lunch staff, and it helped the students. I will say in the places we did not spend at least a week. The middle school, we did not spend a week with all hands on deck, with DPW there, with the garden coordinator there, with me there. It fails. I didn't do that at the middle school. We kind of did a couple days, and we've had a lot of contamination because of that. So I think a key piece is spending time in there, getting all hands on deck, modeling good sorting behavior, because contamination just will cause problems for everyone. Black Earth won't pick it up. It'll be a mess. So once we did fifth grade, you can see we have fifth grade leaders teaching younger students. Once it was working well, specific fifth graders went and taught the same mini lessons to grades 3 through 5. And then every student in grades 3 through 5 had have cross-age buddies in the school. They met with their younger buddies and did an activity about composting. So they taught the K to twos about composting and did an activity with them. We phased in all other lunches from spring break 2023 to the end of the school year. So we started pretty slow at the Hosmer School. We started with a group of fifth graders in 2022. Then in the next year, we rolled out to everybody. And again, it was slow and deliberate. Checking the tab. Okay. So these pictures, I hope I'm glad to say we don't use these trays anymore. These pictures from when our school was in a swing space and we weren't using compostable trays. There were styrofoam trays. We have since eliminated those. And you can see our compostable trays in the top right. Top right. So everything's compostable now. We don't use compostable forks and spoons. There are cost issues with buying everything compostable. We still have plastic forks and spoons, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. So here's one of our other schools. You can see we have a slide up on the projector. That's another really important thing in addition to signage. So our other two schools, after we did our biggest school and kind of our most challenging school, we rolled it out to the other two schools, following pretty much the same process. And as of March of last year, every elementary school was composting. So here's the middle school. These are two of my helpers last week. So we began this winter at the middle school. And students in 6 were experts already because they'd been composting at the elementary. We've had challenges with 8th grade developmentally, and they had never done it in elementary school. And we are learning that student leaders are necessary. We are learning that a lot of modeling is necessary because middle school functions differently. And students, are a little more wild in the cafeteria. And then the other piece is I think the teaching needs to be more deliberate. So at our middle school, we had advisors deliver a mini lesson on how to compost in the cafeteria one day. And then we taught them another day in the caf. And I will say that wasn't enough. So lessons learned, more time, more people on deck, more modeling. It is what we did. It is what we did at the elementary, and we did not do it at the middle school. So I've learned my own lesson here. Oh yes, Springfield Youth. I know they did. It's in the chat. They got the district to move to compostable trays, which was a really cool story, and you can see it there. So we do have compostable trays now as well. So I've gone quickly through our timeline, but I'm going to dig into some more meat here in a moment, and then we'll. So what would your timeline be? Again, on your organizer, I want to give you a couple of minutes. If you're in the middle of this, like how are you going to project out to completion? If you're just starting, where do you want to start with your timeline? How long do you think it will take you? And I'll give you a couple minutes to jot that down. Dinah said it takes 6 weeks to make a habit. It does. And we have not formed our habit at our middle school yet. So hopefully you're jotting down some.
As a 20-year middle school teacher, veteran, it might take more than 6 weeks for middle school,
I know.
just with brain development. And so it's an interesting thing. I think it's really interesting that you're starting elementary. They'll have the concept for middle school,
Yeah.
and then they just need to practice it in that like new space, new
Yeah.
system.
Exactly. And starting with the 8th graders never doing it before, it shows. It's been really challenging. I was a middle school teacher. I have an 8th grader at home, and I have been reminded. I get it. But I do think we should have taken more care at the middle school. And so now I'm having to undo some bad habits.
Yeah. Well, Elizabeth, it's interesting. The Renaissance students, when they were sharing, were talking about that. And they also said that the infrastructure of lunch was very different in the middle and high school. And so there was less supervision, it
Yep.
was faster. And so that even though they maybe knew how to do it, it was just, it didn't fit that structure of their lunchtime. And so there's that as well to contemplate.
And that reminds me, and I'm going to say this honestly to everybody, is that having administration on board's important, because at one of the elementary schools, we had to totally change the structure of how they do lunch. And here at the middle school, I think they do need to change the structure to fit this, as you know, as Diana just said. And they're it's not that they're not willing, they're not able to do that now. And I'm thinking maybe at the start of next school year, we start fresh with thinking about changing the structure. Okay, so how did all the things that I've just talked at you about, there's a lot of things here. So what you have here, and then I'm going to get into some other how to start small, and we'll talk about, we'll have a little bit of a chat about some of the other questions, is we have student presentations. And these are presentations that are a little bit simplified because they're the presentations that our fifth graders gave. Actually, sorry, this is the presentation that I gave to the fifth grade leaders to teach them. So what should a kindergartner know about composting? Yes, you will get, all the links are live. If you have the slides, you will get everything in here. I see that in the chat. So I had said to the fifth grade leaders, all right, what do you think a kindergartner should know about composting? So I did some teaching with our fifth grade leaders on how to teach kindergartners. So there's a lot of layers here, in addition to the knowledge about the science behind composting, why we compost, how we compost. It's also, how do you talk to fifth grade kindergartners, or how do you make this simple enough so they're engaged in it? So this is an example of a slideshow that we gave to our students. So it's fairly simple, but we are able to kind of reuse it over and over again. When we had our school do buddies, and if you don't have buddies set up in your school, I do think having some sort of one-time buddy activity is great. This says garbage. I think it should say trash, but ideally it would say trash. They do sorting. And so these are things our students would find in lunch. And so the older students spend time cutting this out. You could have them pre-cut if you need to, and sorting with the students after they've done a mini lesson. So this is a great buddy activity to think about students doing together. Then we have the slide in the cafeteria. Signage is really important even at the middle school. So these signs are laminated, and we clip them onto the trash and the compost. We have it projected. We have posters everywhere. It seems like overkill, but we've found it really important to have the signage. We have large posters, we have small posters, we have it everywhere, and that's been really important. Sorry. So these are some actual slides and resources that you can use to just turnkey it with your students. So if this is too big, if you're not really on a whole, if you're not ready, if you need to spend more time getting the right people on board, if you need to start with your school nutrition and start with back of the house, these are smaller ways to start working on this with your students. So I have here, I mentioned it before, use the standards in the MCAS, right? Like if you need that, I got new reading glasses, everybody, and I don't know if they're working for me. I'm sorry, I've had them on too long. If you need to really back this up with, often what happens in schools, time is the ultimate resource that everyone competes for. If your principal or a coordinator says this feels extra, or, we don't have time for this, this is in the state standards, and this is a way to really get it into the curriculum. So this is an MCAS question that pretty much students encounter every year, and the two standards that tie into composting. So in fifth grade, there's a standard that asks students to compare at least 2 different designs for a composter to determine which is most likely to encourage decomposition of materials. You can bring in, worm farms for this. You can bring in just a pile of compost and have students look through it. You can get a leaf pile going. You can, you can look at the black earth compost that comes back to you from them. There's a lot of ways to do this. You can build a leaf pile in the school garden and look at that. The other standard that ties into this, what we're talking about today, is to obtain and combine information about ways communities reduce human impact on the Earth's resources and environment by changing an agricultural, industrial, or community practice or project. This is my most favorite standard. I'm the math coordinator and the science coordinator, K-8. And this is my most favorite standard in all of the standards. This is, how we will change our world if we teach our students this standard. Kindergarten has a standard that's similar to this on recycling, and I value that, we have this as a standard. Composting is one way we can reduce human impact. And so this is a way you can tie it in or justify it. Hopefully you don't have to. You could small scale commercial compost. So years ago, as a part of our 5th grade curriculum, we got tiny toters from Black Earth, and through a grant, we paid for very small scale composting. So our 5th graders would compost their snack, and not their lunch, just their snack, and other things that came up in the classroom that we were able to compost, we would do that. And so that was a great way to help tie into this standard, but also it got things going for us with composting. Again, composting buddies K-5. What we did with the small scale is that we had the tiny toters just in 5th grade for snack, and they went down and taught lessons to kindergarten on recycling and composting, and taught the kindergartners to compost their snack. So we were able to do this very small scale. You can compost leaves and other yard waste in the schoolyard. You can see our students raking. I'm going to get to that question in the chat in a second. You can see our students looking through a worm bin over here. And this is one of our really old gardens. You can see that no longer is in existence. You can see our earth machine. The last thing that it's a bigger scale, but really infusing human impact in that standard I just spoke about into your school. Because that's a gateway. Students studying our impact on the environment is a gateway to getting them to be advocates for these things. So every year in Watertown, we have a human impact on the environment panel of experts for our 5th graders, where they had a writing assignment for literacy that was like persuasive writing. And it was like, what's better, vanilla or chocolate ice cream? And we thought we can integrate science into this unit and be better. And so instead, students got to research issues of human impact on the environment. And they would research composting, they would research, so various forms of energy, textile recycling, solar, and then we would bring in a panel of experts, and as a part of their research, they got to ask them questions. We used to have our garden coordinator on a panel and the tree warden from Watertown, and now it's expanded to Dave Epstein, meteorologist, came to a panel. We have the head of sustainability for Harvard come. We have a whole bunch of really passionate people, the founders of Black Earth, come to the panel, and it's fantastic. And these are just smaller ways to start in your school, getting students to kind of become stewards of the environment. Okay, I want to get to that question. So next steps for us, and then I'm going to talk about rodents and all the questions here. We do need to make revisions to our program at the middle school. I've kind of talked about that a lot. Every year we have to teach our kindergartners because they're new to school. But luckily, we're noticing families compost more at home, so our students are coming to us more ready, but we have to teach the kindergartners every year. Our new high school is opening in April. April should be 2026, and with that, we're starting our freight farm's getting delivered, and so we are starting our freight farm implementation, but our new high school will compost. So we're thinking, how are we going to get composting going in our new high school when really only one class of students has composted before, the 8th graders going to 9th. So that I'm going to spend some time thinking about high schoolers composting. Developmentally, I think it might be a little better than middle schoolers, but we're going to start thinking about that. So I want to go back. We have time because I planned to make this with about 15 minutes for questions and go back to the questions from the Mentimeter. If I'm not done here, but if you would like support in this, I would love to help you. So email me if you need other copies of lessons. If you're like, hey, do you have anything for this? Please contact me. I love this. Someday I would love to like go to districts and help them do this, but I have a full-time gig already. So I'm going to go back to the questions, and there's one question in the chat. And I would love more questions to roll in. I'm gonna go here. So have you encountered issues with rodents? How frequently is the food collected? So we're in the Charles River. We have a very big rodent issue here in Watertown. We're a water town, so there's rodents everywhere. We have encountered rodent issues in many ways. We're currently doing new things in our school gardens to deal with our rodent issues. Our new garden coordinators is hopefully taking care of that, and we're kind of trying new things. Our Three Sisters garden, our amazing blue pearl corn was eaten, and it's been challenging. But in terms of composting, we had school nurses and custodians really concerned about rodents. The solution to that is pickup. So we have Black Earth pickup every single day. That is what needs to happen at our bigger schools in particular. One of our schools is 650 kids. One of our schools is 300 kids. The other thing that we've done is gotten more toters. So the middle school has probably more giant composting toters than we need, because what we do is instead of putting bags in one, we save bags by Black Earth gives us a bag for every toter. So we take a toter for each lunch, or 3 toters. So we have 9 toters for our middle school, 3 for 6th, 3 for 7th, 3 through 8th. They don't get overfilled that way. Black Earth comes and picks them up at the end of every day. Cost-wise, I have not absorbed any of the cost of increasing the pickups. DPW, we have a partnership with DPW, and I am honestly on my to-do list is, should I be paying more, or like why can I just increase pickups? They've had no problems with us increasing the pickups. They do have to be picked up every day. It did take some tweaking with weekends. They said, oh, we'll pick up Monday morning. We can't have it sitting Friday to Monday. In some places you might be able to. We are in a high rodent, it's a big issue here. So really you need it picked up every day. And you need to come to your team here that I have projected on this slide and be ready to answer that question, because that's, the custodial teams and the principal's biggest concern, or has been. It's a rodent question. Rhonda. Are allowed to eat. That is a huge challenge. Getting buy-in from students in high school can be a challenge too. I'm constantly trying to figure out solutions to these issues, but haven't found one that works to date. Not ever giving up. Rhonda, I'm never giving up either. And like I said, I think with all of this, it takes tweaking. And even talking to you today about our process from way back in the beginning, I'm remembering some things, just memory lane, that we did really well back then that I'm almost taking for granted now. So really the very slow nature of the rollout, the having more people than you think you need on deck to help. There's been, people have said starting a green team at the middle school, like really formalizing a green team of students that would help. At the middle school, I did have helpers every day for the first week, but honestly, the students don't want to do that every day. Then we started rotating the students. Then we had a sign up, and they don't want to do it every day, and it kind of wears off. Middle schoolers, it's, the novel thrill of it, of helping people compost, wears off. They wore gloves. The kids went into the trash to pick out contaminated things. And like I said, it worked for a little bit, but we're still having contamination issues at the middle school. At the elementary though, Black Earth told our person on DPW that as a town next to us, like compared to them, like we are the gold star. We don't have really any contamination. So we've done something right. And I think it's just going to take some tweaking with the older kids. I'm going to go back to the Mentimeter to make sure we answered everything. Oh, how to handle front of house composting. So that's kind of what we covered today. Additions to lessons. I kind of gave you some additions to lessons. More support for district-wide composting, how to pay for it during a tight budget cycle. I would say on the district and the town side, for me, the city committed to this, and they offer it free for residents. We're currently doing a bit of a fundraiser for Black Earth where we are trying to get more residents and parents to sign up, because the more we have, the better that is. The budget for the bags has been challenging, and the budget for compostable materials in the cafeteria has been challenging. We have the trays, we've committed to having compostable trays, but compostable forks and knives are it's cost prohibitive. We also went back and forth between compostable trays versus washable trays, and compostable trays are more affordable, I think, for most districts. Because, and if I have school nutrition folks here, you would know more, because we have to hire a dishwasher. We have to actually pay a person to wash the trays, and we don't have a dishwasher large enough in some of our buildings. So they do and we weren't able to do that. And the dishwasher capacity with silverware is also time to wash them and paying people. So it ended up being too expensive to wash things, which is disheartening, but it is how it is. We've done creative things to reduce the amount of compostable liners we're using, and that involves getting more toters, which, having more toters means we use less bags. The DPW paid for the bags for a year for us and then said, no more, you have to buy them. So we've been putting them into the custodial budget, but we've been told to, reduce the amount of bags we're using. To get to a very deep level of detail for you, we sometimes stack the trays in the cafeteria. Yep, somebody's saying it. Have you done tray stacking? Yes, we do tray stacking. We do them in one of our elementary schools and sometimes at the Hosmer. It's not totally routine, but at the kind of school, they stack trays. They dump, they stack trays, and then the trays are put in after, and you save so much space with tray stacking. So if you think about it, everybody's just throwing their trays in, everything's compostable, the bags get filled very quickly. So tray stacking, I'm so glad that was mentioned, is something else that we've done. How is it paid for in Watertown? So it is paid for in Watertown through a contract with the city. Watertown has sustainability goals they have to meet by, I think, 2026. It's part of their sustainability plan, and it is paid for the city. We share our kind of director of public buildings is for the city and for the school. That's kind of new. So we're sharing kind of this with the city. Wellesley, we're only composting at the middle school level. We applied for a grant to add high school composting. I mean, in the interest of what we're speaking about, I would almost start composting at the elementary, because then you're growing them up and it would be a little bit easier. We did fund a lot of our farm to school programming through grants for years. And that is exhausting. Our garden coordinator and the composting and some of our garden supplies and seeds moved on to the budget. So now we're writing grants to fund our summer interns, to fund our freight farm teacher. We're writing grants to fund some supplies and materials, but things moved over to the budget after a few years. And we have a superintendent this is their passion, and we're lucky for that. We've got some cool things. Yep. So tray stacking, Elisa, thank you for bringing that up. Tray stacking is a great way to save money on bags, but the bags are kind of the expense that we feel a little bit. dream world, waste sorting worked into regular curriculum, current situation, standalone West. Yep. Yeah, and I think in our 5th grade, the composting is integrated really well into the year, and we do have some integration with some of this and these standards I was speaking of into our literacy. And I do, every classroom has connections to the outdoors and the gardens, which kind of helps with the whole growing environmental stewards thing. But yeah, you don't want it as standalone. Other questions? Rhonda said some compost facilities don't accept compostable foodware. Interesting. So forks and things like that, they don't accept it. I think Black Earth does. I think I had looked into that with them. Other questions? It's so funny. I wish we were together in person, but I know it's a webinar. So towards the end, I would love to hear from you if you want copies or you need anything. Could you share additional grants that you've heard of? Yeah, so I'll just rattle some off right now. It's not really a true grant. It's like a crowd dynamism. We have used seed money before to raise funds, advancing climate resiliency through the Metropolitan Planning MAPC. We've received grants from them. Our local ed foundation has given us quite a bit of money. The Whole Foods Foundation. I know Mass Farm to School has a whole list of grants. Oh, do you also do
I just
poor
put it in the chat,
Thank you.
Elizabeth. So
Yeah.
I just put we try to keep this updated. It's a list of potential grants and we do try to update it.
Do you also do pour buckets or share tables? We did pour buckets. We tried that. It was too messy. So a bucket in the middle of the table, that's actually one of the things we tried. Bucket in the middle of the table, you had to wash the buckets. Honestly, it ended up being too messy. Tray stacking was better for us. We do not, this is a tiny another detail. We don't compost the liquid because those compostable bags are weak. We thought about having a dump bucket for that, but it hasn't worked for us. So liquids and milk containers go into the trash. Share tables, if there's, in Watertown, we recently had a student, it was in the news, do a amazing fundraiser to get a community fridge, one of those big glass fridges, so for the cafeteria, so we collect unused wrapped food and that goes in a share fridge, which has been amazing because we're not throwing away unwrapped food, and it goes into the share fridge and students can take what they want from the cooler, and we're doing that in all of our buildings now. It involved quite a bit of legwork with the Board of Health, but it was doable. So thank you, everybody.
Some great questions.
Yeah, really good questions. You're asking me questions and I'm remembering things like the share buckets and the tray stacking. Any more?
Any other questions coming in?
Oh, the link to
Oh,
the.
Amanda, I put it in the chat. It's a document. If you look up the chat like 4, it says Mass Farm to School grant opportunities.
And I go back to that list that Mass Farm to School keeps often. It's a great list.
Tell me if you don't see it. I'm
There.
also putting a plug in here. We now have a podcast. It's called Farm to School Northeast. It's highlights farm to school stories across the Northeast. If you have, Amanda, I'll grab it for you again. If anyone enjoys
weird.
podcasts, you can listen there. Here is the grant list. Do you all see that?
I'm putting it in.
I just popped it in there. And we try to keep this updated as often as we can.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to put that one in there. Do you guys have it? It's weird.
Do y'all see it now? Oh, my bad. I was sending it to Elizabeth. My
I can see it.
apologies.
Oh,
There it is.
to
Okay.
handle.
I've been sending you all.
I was like, I'm getting it.
I've been sending you all sorts of people, things that have just gone to Elizabeth. All right, hold on.
Here it comes.
My apologies. There it is. And it's been a long day.
I know.
And our podcast link. And was there anything else that I put in here? No, I think those are my links. Oh, another thing that I didn't share. If you're interested in, I was mentioning, Elizabeth mentioned the Springfield student group
Mhm.
um, did a sustainability project on compostable trays and also on school-wide composting
Yeah.
and a trash audit. And if you're interested, they led a webinar in January about the process of pricing,
Mhm.
the how much the school district would save if they composted versus their trash.
Yeah.
It's a completely student-led project they did in an expeditionary learning class. They, did the trash audit, they did the weight, they did the math, they got in touch with the composter, and they put together an entire presentation, went to the city council, went to the school department, to get composting, and they're really working on getting district-wide composting. So if you're interested in that, I just put the webinar in, and also they did a podcast for us, which will be out this summer, but
They're a
check
great
out their
group of
webinar.
kids. They're really, I recommend you look at some of their stuff. I went to a session at a conference that they did, and I was taken with them. They're amazing.
Yeah, and if you're interested, it would also be great if you have a youth group to have them watch what other youth are doing. There's a question in, I don't know
Oh,
if you answered this in the Q&A that says, how are you paying for Black Earth services? I don't know if you already
oh,
answered.
I did. I did
Great,
answer that.
perfect.
It's through
Okay,
the city. Mhm.
all right. Any last questions? Well, thank you,
Thank
Elizabeth. Thank you
you.
so much. I know you had a long day at school, and thank you. So thank you so much for leading this. And to everyone who is here in person after such a long day, thank you. And we will be sending out this slide deck, which has the links and Elizabeth's email address, and also a recording of this session. Probably you'll get it next week in your email. So look for that. And I also didn't because I sent my email address to Elizabeth. If you want to reach me for anything, my email is now in the chat. And also, copy responder link. If you have ideas for professional learning that you would like, there is oh, I am sorry, I just sent you the wrong link. Copy. There is in the chat a survey, Google survey, if you have things you want to learn, professional learning, or if there's something you want to teach, please fill out that Google form. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. It was nice to meet you. Thanks.